Translation and adaptation of the original video for English-speaking audience was made by Dmitry of MG Owners Australia. All rights to the original content belong to Клубный Сервис Channel, and the links are provided in the description of this video. While we are still waiting for Chery Omoda 5 to be officially revealed in Australia, we once again have to rely on our Russian friends and share their honest and brutal findings, as they already took a very close look at Chery Omoda. Opened up, so to speak, and they didn't pull any punches, as they never do. In this first video, Ilya from Клубный Сервис Moscow will tell us about the exterior and the general feel of the car, and in the next one we will follow his adventures as he disassembles the car fully and looks at what it's made of. Don't forget to like this video if you find it insightful and subscribe for more. Hello ladies and gentlemen, we have to admit that lately we are not seeing that many new cars enter Russian market, and yes, we all know why that is the case. Which is why today's video will be particularly of interest to you, hopefully, as we are looking at the new Chinese automotive wonder, I would dare say, Chery Omoda. A rather unusual looking and very fresh but slightly controversial product called Omoda, which in Russia launched as a standalone brand, by the way, and not something under the umbrella of Chery, as we expected to launch in Australia in 2023, if Chery obviously sticks to its loose plan from the late 2020. That is a quick addition from me, Dmitry. As we unfortunately see in many Chinese vehicles, a lot of things are a little over the top and somewhat awkward. We try and appreciate this whole colorway we're seeing here. We have a gray body, black mirrors with some elements of white here too. There are some injections of expressive, I would almost dare say, expressive reds here too. These kind of red moldings with little red insets in the wheels. Well, if I'm very accurate, then it's red and black. The car overall is not producing a massive impression. It's about 4.4 meters long. It is shortish and lowish. It's about 158 centimeters tall and about only 185 centimeters wide. All in all, it looks on the small side, if I am honest. If we look at the front of this car, well, let's take a look at this. It is a very interesting, rather unusual look that Chery Omoda has, and it certainly will draw attention of some of the buyers who are looking for something a little more edgy, I might say, rather than something that is relatively boring and that we've seen on the market for a long time. We kind of can assume that they are partly inspired by the Korean creations, possibly from Hyundai. We can see a lot of bling here, I would dare say, and insets that, I don't know, maybe they're trying to resemble Swarovski crystals, or, God forbid, some teeth of a Chinese dragon, very possibly here. Well, if we are continuing on this loose artistic interpretation of Omoda design, it also looks like this creation might have taken a bite of something really spicy at a nearby Chinese restaurant, which is why it has this kind of narrow, kind of squinty, a little bit of a look, if you forgive my continued flow of analogies. As I stand next to this car, I have to say that I actually quite like this key. Yes, the key, it's probably one thing that is created properly and nicely, to my eye anyway. It's not very practical, of course, as it's glossy, and it will take no time at all to get all scratched, I think, and covered in your fingerprints after a day or two of ownership. Let's take a look at the back of this lovely car. I must be in the mood, but this spirit of Chinese expression is shining through here in the form of draconic lips, I would dare say. Yes, lips of this Chinese dragon. See, there is a top lip, there is a gray one, there is a red one, and you can see the stop signal is embedded here in the middle. Well, again, to my eye, it looks aggressive and borderline scary if you are a bit of a sensitive flower, which I admittedly am not. Now, if you're just a regular consumer buying this car outright or taking out a small bank loan, I suppose, to pay for this beauty, and here you notice the label 230T, you might think that this lovely car has an engine of 2.3 liters, right? Like that's kind of logical assumption. Well, you would be wrong, my friend, if you thought that. The engine here is actually a usual, predictable 1.5 liters. With the letter T here, of course, that fortunately is not lying this time and points out that this is a turbo-enabled petrol engine. So I'd like to also point out here the further questionable design elements, these, I don't know, ribs, I guess, or maybe it's a draconic sideways placed crest of sorts even. I have no idea why this is even remotely required, and maybe it's a very slight nod at Lexus brand perhaps, but I'm not sure. Shape of these lights and edges suggests some remotest resemblance with maybe Hyundai Tucson, but overall I still think to my Russian bogan eye all of this put together looks quite awkward. Here is the important bit, my friends. So what you're seeing here costs in Russia quite serious money, more specifically an equivalent of almost 40,000 American dollars, 38,000 American dollars, or an equivalent of about 56,000 Australian dollars, which is absolutely mind-boggling, as overall I've shown you so far nothing very special here. In my view, this pricing is a real catastrophe. And if you tell me, come on Ilya, stop whining, man, it's a car for a person who wants to stand out from the crowd, maybe with a little kid who has some cash to blow on his or her image and who doesn't want to look super boring. And I might even agree with you then, yes, you have a point, but only if this thing would cost then something around, I don't know, 25,000 Australian, not American in this case, dollars. But 56k Australian is absurd if they charge us for it. It obviously remains to be seen if this kind of price tag will remain when this car launches in Australia, so please keep in mind that this logic and reaction are reflecting current reality of Moscow, Russia at the end of 2022 when this video was recorded. And this is another little remark from Dmitry and not part of the original commentary from Клубный Сервис. Say you wanted to start making cars and want a quick guide on how to sell stuff expensively. Here is how you can do it, and it's kind of in front of you in a plain sight. Take a pretty averagely made product, mediocre engine, add a turbine to it, tell the people that it can use cheapest petrol, which in Russia is 92 and in Australia is 91, make all of this front-wheel drive only, no all-wheel drive, borderline single-use kind of quality and discardable, yeah, I would even say, and then put an obnoxious price tag of 38,000 American dollars, because why not? The supply of other cars is quite limited to Russia these days anyway, so desperate people will be buying this anyway, right? Okay, my friends, time to talk about the interior, and I am in awe here. I look at all this Chinese wonder and clearly see that the concept of how to make average people very, very happy works so well in here, because take a look. We have an opening sunroof, sports seats, slightly questionable headrest, I suppose, and general support, but well, it is very, very kind of lovely looking and very busy, I would say, design, very modern kind of design of the flowy console and the dashboard. It reminds me even of Volvo, I suppose, to some extent. There is a sports steering wheel, and here you can imagine your heart of an average Joe or Jane would start skipping a bit if they look at it at a car dealership. Some further news I have here for people who can't wait to get their hands on Chery Omoda is that if you or members of your family perhaps are of similar size to mine, close to 2 meters tall and about 150 kilograms of live weight, this person would fit in here only if you open the sunroof. I'm serious, because without the roof opening, I don't know, you would have to just turn your neck in order to even fit in at all. Let's keep looking at this plentiful luxury. Remember, I promised to teach you how to earn money by selling cheap stuff to gullible people. Well, here is what you need to do precisely. Take note. Make sure that the interior looks modern, and obviously spare no expense here. You need all these switches, crystal and silver elements of design. Let's have a lot of different buttons and icons, and most importantly, your designer needs to somehow be able to explain why all of this beauty is implemented so super very cheaply. All of this, upon close examination, is actually done rather cheaply. Just take a look at the execution here. Well, this console, for example, is a masterpiece from a distance, if you look at it from a distance. But if you actually start looking at the material used in it, you see, every fingerprint left by the passenger and driver. So if you are engaged in some criminal activity and say you haven't stolen a more expensive and maybe a better car for your needs just yet, you're gonna be in trouble with this one. If we touch these spots for mobile phones here where we would have a wireless charger, surface here feels weird but kind of nice and is some kind of leather or skin of some unfortunate animal. Look, I'm old and I've seen a lot of things, and my subscribers often ask me, what can I say about the quality of modern Chinese cars within the budget segment, so to speak? I get this question all the time. Well, it is very important to understand that the budget segment can be defined very differently, as one part of this segment is for cheap export, which this car arguably is, and another to save for the higher end of the internal country market. Let me just rattle this switch here, and all of your questions will be answered, my friends, immediately and with absolutely no prejudice. There are lots of modern features packed into this car, which you would expect from more expensive cars these days. So all of this in here is present, and it's quite plentiful. Front windscreen is heated, various information is shown on the display. Obviously, display elements are digital. Things like if there are any issues with the liquids, as it's showing to us right now, any road hazards are being displayed here on the heads-up display. It shows to you other cars on the road. Active cruise control system is enabled and present. The car obviously has electronic lane keep assist. So basically this car can do everything that more expensive and really good American or European cars can do, except questionably and arguably it will do it a little more cheaply and probably not so well. When I turn on the heating of the front windscreen, I can just feel how the engine loses power. It's honestly quite sad to see as it's trying to level out its RPMs. Of course, it's also with the turned on air conditioning at this moment in time as I'm recording this. But what else is here? And I have to kind of shift, I suppose, my view onto positives. Well, from positives, camera is of very good quality, and the owner of this car actually really loves it. When it's on, you definitely get a feel of a more expensive car, even after driving something European, because cameras here, without a doubt, are very good. And if I'm honest, a lot of digital detail and UI design actually fit quite nicely into this setup too. We can even widen the view, I suppose, from the front and take a look in 3D, or even from the side in case you wanted to see what you look like after spending close to 40,000 American dollars on a car that costs probably half of this price tag in China. Okay, boys and girls, we're not done here yet. Let me throw in some extra luxury at you by pressing this mode button. Here we see this amazing animation and a large image of a sport. Well, something is going wrong here. Let me try very quickly again. Sport. So here you're flying, and obviously your brake pads are overheating because we see sparks and everything. And after that, you drive into some muddy puddle, and I get a feeling of some real wilderness here. So you probably have a lot of grass and stuff. All this raises one question I have for Chery. Dear Chery designers, let me tell you a secret. Typically, we have 3 modes in cars, actually, including normal mode. And here, for some weird reason, we have your sport or eco mode. Like, either everything is on fire, I'm on fire, everyone, or your wheels are so deep in grass in some wild marsh of sorts. Like, can this car drive normally? Like, please. If you are still planning to buy this car and thinking of having someone in the back seat, I can tell you that if you look remotely anything similar to me, there is flat out zero space at the back. And generally, I would dare say only people with no legs can sit there with relative comfort, because if the driver adjusted the seat in the front, you are left with absolutely no space for legs at the back. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's summarize and wrap this thing up. We are looking at another rather cheaply made product from China, a real dragon, but unfortunately a rather weak petrol engine and questionable but colorful appearance. It has a rather pretty interior and a lot of fancy digital functions, but it is not the most important part. The most important part is what is inside of this dragon, and we will absolutely disassemble this car properly, and translation will be available very soon too. And only then we will render our final verdict. For now, I would like to thank you very much for watching this video. Hopefully you found it insightful or at least entertaining. Please like the video if you liked it and subscribe for more. We will talk to you next time.